The year is 1899, and the world outside has begun to turn into a landscape of iron and ice. Can you hear it? That low, mournful whistle of the wind as it brushes against the heavy timber walls of this sanctuary, seeking a way inside but finding none. The heavy wooden latch has been slid into place, sealing the door tight and creating a barrier between you and the vast, unforgiving wilderness of the old frontier. You have just stepped out of the biting cold and into the amber, flickering glow of a room that feels as though time itself has decided to pause. Here, within these walls, the air is thick with the scent of aged cedar wood, slow-burning beeswax, and the faint, lingering aroma of sweet tobacco. There is no noise here, only the deep, resonant silence that comes when the rest of the world has gone to sleep. The only clock that matters now is the steady, rhythmic pulse of your own breath, slowing down with every passing second as you settle into the warmth. Take a seat by the hearth, where the heavy oak logs are settling into a bed of glowing coals. Listen to that soft, rhythmic pop and the gentle hiss of the wood releasing its warmth. It is a comforting sound, a primal melody that has signaled safety for travelers for centuries. You are no longer moving. You are no longer searching. The long trail you left behind is now covered in a blanket of falling snow. And for tonight, your journey has reached a place of absolute peace. The firelight dances across the ceiling in a slow, hypnotic waltz, casting long shadows that seem to wrap around the room like a soft, familiar embrace. Every flicker of the flame is a reminder that you are protected, that the blizzard outside is a world away, and that here, you are finally allowed to let go. Tonight, we are not merely escaping the winter. We are drifting back into the lost memories of a frontier that is slowly fading into legend. This is a journey through the quietest, most hidden corners of the American West, a place where the mountains are painted in silver frost and the valleys are filled with a deep, blue silence. We are here to follow the echoes of a man who spent his life in the saddle. A man who lived by the steel in his hand, but carried a quiet dream of stillness in his heart. His name was Arthur, and tonight we find the version of his story that the history books forgot to tell. It is a story not of guns and gold, but of the simple, quiet freedom found in the scent of rain on dry earth and the warmth of a morning sun. As the embers pulse with a deep, crimson light, you can feel the frantic energy of the modern world dissolving into nothing more than a distant, inconsolable whisper. Your mind is becoming as still as the frozen lakes of the high Grizzlies. There is a profound weight in your limbs, a comfortable gravity that anchors you to this moment, to this chair, and to the soft crackle of the fire. You are tucked away behind thick, hand-hewn walls, listening to the winter as it sighs against the glass, unable to reach the peace you have found. The heavy blankets of the night are being drawn over the world, and you are drifting closer to the edge of a long, restorative sleep. Every breath you take is deeper than the last, drawing in the calm of the room and exhaling the tension of the day. The golden haze of the hearth is beginning to shift now, turning softer and paler. The deep reds of the fire are fading, replaced by a delicate, buttery light that filters through a frost-patterned window. The scent of the burning cedar remains, but it is slowly merging with something new, the smell of fresh water, the aroma of coffee being ground by hand, and the soft domestic rhythm of a small house waking up in the heart of the mountains. Imagine the floorboards creaking gently under the weight of heavy boots, a sound that is not a disturbance, but a familiar part of a morning routine. The mountain air is sharp and clean, and the world is waiting to reveal itself in the first light of a new day. We are leaving the tavern behind, moving toward a small, quiet homestead, where the fire is already being tended, and the tea is being poured into tin cups. Close your eyes and feel the transition as the warmth of the room becomes the warmth of the rising sun. We are stepping out of the shadows and into a memory of peace, where the only thing on the horizon is the promise of a quiet life well lived. The trail is calling, but it is a gentle call, one that leads us deeper into the silence and further away from the noise of the past. Let the light take you. Let the rhythm of the morning carry you forward into the stillness of the high country. As the last of the embers fade into ash, the world of 1899 begins to breathe anew. And we find ourselves standing in the doorway of a home where the only law is the rising and setting of the sun. The silence here is a gift, a soft cloth, wiping away the memories of the storm, leaving only the clarity of the dawn. The early morning sun spills in thin golden ribbons through the tall kitchen window, illuminating the tiny dust motes that dance and drift in the stillness of the air. There is a profound sense of peace here, deep in the heart of the mountains, where the only clock that matters is the gradual, silent brightening of the sky. Can you hear the soft, rhythmic sizzle of the cast iron skillet resting over the glowing embers? It is a gentle, domestic song, the sound of a day beginning with intention, patience, and care. The heavy metal clinks softly against the stove, a grounding, solid noise that speaks of home and the permanence of this small sanctuary. Beside the hearth, a heavy ceramic mug sits on a rough-hewn wooden table, a faint, elegant wisp of steam rising from the dark, rich coffee within. The scent is intoxicating and deep, a blend of roasted beans, charred pine wood, and the lingering sweetness of the morning mist that still clings to the logs outside. As the light stretches further across the room, it reveals the intricate grain of the wide floorboards, worn smooth by years of quiet, steady footsteps. Every knot in the wood tells a story of the ancient forest it once belonged to, and now it serves as the solid foundation for this quiet life. The kitchen is filled with the aroma of a simple breakfast, and the sharp, clean scent of the mountain air drifting through a small, frost-patterned pane. It is a sensory sanctuary, a place where the chaos of the frontier and the ghosts of the past cannot reach. You can almost feel the texture of the cool linen tablecloth under your fingers and the radiating, steady warmth of the stove against your skin. The world outside is vast, wild, and unpredictable. But inside these four timber walls, everything is contained, manageable, and kind. You are exactly where you are supposed to be, anchored by the simple rhythms of a morning that asks nothing of you but your presence. In the corner, Mary moves with a quiet, practiced grace, her shadow lengthening against the whitewashed walls in the growing light. She does not speak at first, allowing the comfortable silence to settle like a heavy, warm blanket between you. When she finally does, her voice is a soft murmur, a low vibration that barely rises above the gentle crackle of the fire. She speaks of a dream that has haunted her sleep for years. A vision of a creature as pale as the winter moon, roaming the high, untouched plateaus of the far north. She describes a horse, a legendary White Arabian, a ghost of the mountains that few have ever seen and none have ever dared to tame. It is not just a horse she desires, but what that creature represents: a pure, untainted freedom, a life that belongs to no one but the wind and the stars. She looks out toward the towering peaks, her eyes reflecting the pale, icy blue of the dawn, and for a long moment, the kitchen feels like the threshold to an immense and beautiful mystery. You listen to her, the weight of your boots feeling heavy and solid on the floor, feeling the deep resonance of her words in your chest. The quest she describes is arduous, a long journey through biting frost and jagged stone, but in this quiet moment, it feels inevitable and right. You lean back into the wooden chair, the frame creaking softly in a rhythmic protest, and you offer her a low, steady promise. Your voice is a grounding force in the room, a deep, slow vibration that fills the small space with a sense of absolute certainty. You tell her that the world is wide, and the mountains are tall, but they are not unconquerable for a heart that knows what it seeks. You tell her to stay here by the warmth of the fire, to keep the tea steeping and the hearth tended, because the ghost she seeks will not remain a dream for much longer. There is a profound safety in your words, a protective shield against the uncertainty of the high wilderness. Everything is taken care of. The wood is stacked high, the stores are full, and the path ahead is already clear in your mind. The domestic warmth of the cabin begins to transition now, moving toward the cool, bracing reality of the outdoors. You stand up, the movement slow, heavy and deliberate, and reach for your thick winter coat hanging by the heavy wooden door. The transition is seamless. The comfort of the kitchen carried with you like a glowing ember held in the palm of your hand. Outside, the world is draped in a delicate, shimmering layer of silver frost, turning every blade of grass and every fence rail into a fragile crystal sculpture. The air is sharp and invigorating as it hits your lungs, clearing away the last remnants of sleep and replacing them with a quiet, focused energy. You can hear the leather of the tack creaking and complaining as you heave the heavy saddle onto the back of your loyal companion. The sound of the cinch being tightened is a familiar, rhythmic percussion that signals the beginning of the work. As you lead the horse out into the yard, the very first step produces a satisfying, crystalline crunch of frost underfoot. It is the sound of the journey truly beginning, a crisp breaking of the morning silence that echoes softly against the barn. The homestead is behind you now, a small glowing island of light and heat in the vast blue shadows of the Grizzlies. The horse exhales a long, thick plume of white steam into the cold air, her hooves sounding rhythmic, hollow, and steady on the frozen earth. The path leads upward, away from the safety of the valley, and into the thin, silent air of the high country, where the legends of the West still dwell in the shadows of the pines. The warmth of the morning coffee is still a steady glow in your belly, a tether to the home you are leaving, and the promise you made lingers in the air like a silent prayer. The sun is higher now, turning the frost into a million sparkling diamonds, lighting the golden way toward the silver peaks that wait in the distance. The steady, hypnotic rhythm of the horse's hooves creates a perfect metronome for the wilderness, a rhythmic and grounding thrum that echoes softly against the ancient canyon walls. Clip-clop, clip-clop, the sound is hollow, steady, and infinitely reassuring. A constant heartbeat in the vast, open silence of the rising mountain trail. You can feel the powerful, rhythmic muscles of your mount shifting steadily beneath the heavy leather of the saddle. A slow and intentional movement that rocks you gently with every single step upward toward the clouds. The path is narrow and winding, making its way through the ancient, tangled roots of pine and cedar trees, where the air is still heavy and thick with the comforting scent of damp earth, fallen needles, and mountain moss. But as you climb higher and higher, the world around you begins to change in subtle, beautiful ways. The rich, vibrant greens of the valley floor start to fade and soften, replaced by the muted grays of weathered granite stone and the first delicate, crystalline dustings of white on the high, reaching branches. The sounds of the lower world, the rushing, energetic creaks, and the distant, sharp calls of birds are falling away behind you, swallowed by a growing crystalline stillness that feels as old and as patient as the mountains themselves. As the elevation increases with every steady breath, the dense forest begins to thin out, revealing glimpses of a high sky so blue and so deep it looks like polished glass. The transition is subtle at first, a gradual, graceful whitening of the entire landscape until the emerald needles of the tall pines are entirely encased in translucent, shimmering ice. The world is becoming a profound study in white and soft shadow. A pervasive and gentle white noise begins to fill the air, the sound of 1,000 tiny ice crystals brushing against one another in a soft, wandering breeze. It is a sound like falling silk, a continuous, hushing whisper that seems to tell your heart to slow down, to match the patient, unhurried pace of the mountain. Every breath you draw is sharper now, cleaner and colder, tasting of nothing but absolute purity and the scent of distant snow. The horse's breath comes in steady, thick white plumes, a rhythmic mist that vanishes almost instantly into the thin, dry air. There is no hurry here. There is no destination that requires speed. The mountain does not recognize the passage of time, and under its quiet influence, your own sense of urgency begins to dissolve into the frozen, silver scenery. Around a sharp, jagged bend where the trail clings desperately to a granite shelf, you encounter a lone traveler, a tall figure draped in heavy, dark furs sitting motionless on a weary, patient mule. He looks as though he has been carved directly from the mountain itself, his long beard frosted with thick rime and his eyes reflecting the vast blue emptiness of the peaks. You stop, and for a long moment, the only sound in the world is the soft, heavy huffing of the animals in the cold. He speaks in a voice that is low, weathered, and deep, a sound like ancient stones grinding together at the very bottom of a deep river. He does not ask your business, nor does he judge your path, but he offers a quiet and solemn warning. He speaks of the high, white peaks ahead, where the beauty is so blinding and so pure it can steal a man's soul, and where the silence is so deep it can make you forget your own name. He tells you that the white ghost you seek is not a prize to be caught with a rope, but a spirit to be respected with the heart. His words are not meant to frighten you, but to ground you in the heavy reality of the high country. He nods once, a slow and respectful gesture, before his mule begins the long descent, leaving you completely alone once more with the ascending, silent trail. The horizon opens up wide and magnificent as you reach a high, windswept ridge, revealing a vista that stretches far beyond the reach of human memory or mapta. Mountain range after mountain range ripples out toward the very edge of the world, painted in delicate shades of violet, indigo, and blinding, brilliant silver. In the face of such immense, unmoving grandeur, the small worries that felt so heavy and burdensome in the valley below begin to shrink, flicker, and vanish entirely. What are the small anxieties of a single life compared to the eternal frozen patience of these towering peaks? The immense scale of the landscape is a lullaby for the soul, a profound reminder that the world is vast and that you are a small, safe part of something much larger and infinitely more peaceful than the daily struggles of men. The sky seems to lean down to touch the cold earth, and for a fleeting moment, the boundary between the two disappears into a haze of light. You are suspended in a world of pure light and frozen air, where the only thing that truly exists is the present moment and the slow, steady movement of your horse's hooves. As you push further and deeper into the heights, the temperature takes a sudden, noticeable dive. You can feel the cold beginning to seep through the thick layers of your heavy coat, not as a sharp bite, but as a heavy, numbing weight that encourages a deep internal stillness of the mind. The wind has died down completely, leaving behind a silence so absolute and so profound that it begins to hum in your ears. It is a high, vibrating frequency, the sound of the great void, a celestial white noise that vibrates softly in the back of your mind. The air is so thin and so still that the sound of a single snapping twig would echo for miles across the basins. Yet nothing moves. Even the falling snow seems to have stopped settling, suspended in the stillness. The world has become a vast cathedral of ice, and you are moving through its center with a quiet, breathless reverence. Your horse's hooves no longer click on the hard stone, but are muffled and softened by a deep, powdery blanket of fresh snow, turning your movement into a ghost-like, effortless glide through the white. The light is changing now, turning from the brilliant, harsh white of midday to a soft, ethereal lavender as the sun begins to dip behind the highest, jagged crests. The shadows in the deep drifts are a rich, crystalline blue, looking like pools of still, frozen water. You find yourself moving deeper and deeper into this blue world, where the hum of the high altitude grows louder and more comforting with every step. It is sound that signals the end of the long climb and the beginning of the dream state. The path ahead is no longer a trail, but a series of soft, rolling undulations in the pristine snow, leading toward the hidden secret basins where the legends of the old world go to sleep. You pull your collar tighter against your neck, tucking your chin against the creeping cold, and let the rhythmic heavy swaying of the horse carry you into the very heart of the frost. The world below is gone, forgotten in the blue hum of the high peaks, leaving you alone in a sanctuary of ice, light, and eternal peace. The sound of the entire world has changed once again, narrowing down to the soft, rhythmic compression of heavy hooves, sinking deep into the waist-deep, pristine powder. Every single step is a muffled thud, a quiet and respectful impact that barely disturbs the ancient frozen slumber of this hidden basin. You have finally reached the shores of Lake Isabella, a place where the thin line between the earth and the heavens has been completely erased by a blinding, holy white. The air here is so still it feels almost solid, a crystalline silence that rings in your ears like the distant, fading toll of a silver bell. Through the shifting, ethereal veils of the mountain mist, she finally appears, not as a creature made of mere flesh and bone, but as a shimmering, living condensation of the winter itself. The White Arabian, she stands perfectly motionless against the jagged, blue ice, her coat a brilliant silver white that reflects the pale dying light of the high altitude. She is the ghost of the Grizzlies, a living legend wrapped in the very breath of the frost, watching you with deep dark eyes that have seen 1,000 winters and 1,000 silent storms. You dismount from your own horse with slow, deliberate, and heavy movements, your boots making a deep, satisfying, and rhythmic crunch as they find purchase in the frozen crust of the snow. The world slows down until every second feels like a long, drawn-out beat of a heavy heart. You begin your approach, a step-by-step dance of infinite patience and profound respect. The snow is deep, heavy, and cold, but you do not feel the bite of the chill. Your entire consciousness is narrowed down to the magnificent ethereal creature standing before you. She tosses her head slightly, her long mane flowing like a silken, white banner in the light breeze, and you stop instantly. You stand perfectly still, becoming a permanent part of the frozen landscape, a mere shadow among the ancient rocks. You can clearly see the thick, rhythmic plumes of white steam rising from her nostrils, a powerful pulse of life in the middle of this vast frozen void. She is assessing you, reading the very intent in your soul, deciding if the piece you offer is genuine or a mask. Slowly, you extend a steady hand, the leather of your glove creaking ever so slightly in the absolute quiet of the basin. You take another slow step, and then another, moving through the deep drifts, as if you were walking through the thickest part of a dream. The distance between you is closing, an inch at a time, governed by the unspoken, ancient laws of the high wilderness. You are not a hunter today, and she is not a prize to be won. You are simply two lonely spirits meeting at the very edge of the world. The mist swirls around your feet, obscuring the ground and making it feel as though you are both floating in a vast, silent sea of clouds. The sound of your own breathing is loud and rhythmic in your ears, a steady, calm tempo that you project toward her, a silent, vibrating signal that you are a friend, a guardian, and a fellow traveler in the cold. Then, the profound moment of first contact. Arrives a moment that feels as though it could easily last for an eternity. Your hand reaches out and gently, tentatively, brushes against the bridge of her long, elegant nose. The sensation is startling in its vivid detail. You can feel the incredible, unbelievable softness of her skin, a texture like the finest velvet, warm and vibrant against the cold, worn leather of your hand. The heat radiating from her powerful body is a miracle in this land of eternal ice, a glowing furnace of life that vibrates steadily under your palm. She does not pull away. Instead, she leans her weight into the touch, her large dark eye closing slowly as she accepts your presence in her world. In that single touch, the wildness of the mountain is bridged by a bond of absolute trust that requires no spoken words. You can feel the immense strength in her neck, the steady, rhythmic thrum of her heart, and the sheer, untamed power held in check by her newfound calm. You begin to speak to her now, your voice a low, gravelly, and rhythmic murmur that stays deep in your throat, designed to soothe the very last remnants of her wild fear. Easy now, easy girl. It is just us, just you and the mountain. There is no one else for 100 miles in any direction. You are safe now. We are both safe in this silence. You repeat the phrases like a rhythmic mantra, a slow lullaby that weaves a protective net of security around the two of you. Just the snow and the silence, nothing to fear in the white. Easy now, that is it, you are okay. The words are a soft, constant vibration, a hum of reassurance that blends perfectly with the hushing, rhythmic sound of the wind against the ice. She sighs, a long, deep, and heavy exhale that releases all the tension in her powerful frame, and she bows her head toward you, a gesture of total surrender and mutual, silent respect. As the sun begins its final descent behind the peaks, the brilliant white of the basin starts to transform, catching the fading light in a display of colors that defy human description. You lead her carefully and slowly back toward the trail, your movements synchronized, fluid, and heavy. The sky is turning a deep, bruised purple, the color of an old, fading memory, with long streaks of burning orange and deep indigo cutting through the clouds like open wounds. You swing yourself into the saddle of your mount, and for the first time you feel the effortless, ghost-like power of the White Arabian following closely behind you. She moves with a grace that makes the rugged, jagged terrain feel like a paved, golden road. The long descent has begun, leaving the high sanctuary of Lake Isabella behind as you ride through the deepening violet twilight. You are heading back toward the world of men with a piece of the mountain's very soul following in your wake. The cold is deepening with the night, but the bond between you is a steady fire that keeps the encroaching darkness at bay. Your heart beats in time with the rhythmic falling of the snow, moving downward toward the warmth that waits below. The entire atmosphere begins to shift subtly as the brilliant indigo twilight of the high peaks is slowly swallowed by a vast, bruised wall of heavy clouds advancing steadily from the north. The air, which was once sharp, thin, and clear, now carries a heavy and electric tension that vibrates deep within the chest. Listen to the low, guttural rumble of distant thunder. Not a sharp, sudden crack, but a deep, rolling vibration that seems to shake the very ancient roots of the mountains themselves. It is followed almost immediately by the sharp, rhythmic hiss of sleet, tiny needles of ice striking the frozen earth with a sound like 1,000 quiet whispers. The world is turning a heavy gray, a monochromatic and lonely landscape where the thin line between the sky and the jagged horizon is beginning to blur, soften, and dissolve. The brilliant, holy white of the snow is being replaced by a dim, leaden shadow, and the trail ahead is quickly becoming nothing more than a fading ghost of itself. As you navigate the thickening and heavy gloom, the steady, rhythmic breathing of your horse becomes your only reliable compass in the gray. She is nervous, her ears twitching constantly at the sudden, sharp change in the wind's pitch, but her powerful movement remains steady, slow, and purposeful. You can feel the intense heat of her breath through your stirrups, a warm, rhythmic puff of life against the encroaching and numbing chill of the storm. The wind has picked up its pace, no longer a soft sigh, but a low, persistent, and haunting moan that weaves through the skeletal, frozen branches of the dead pines. Every single step through the deepening and heavy drifts is a muffled thud, a quiet sound of survival against the vast and cold indifference of the winter storm. You lean forward in the saddle, tucking your chin deep into the heavy collar of your coat, matching your own breath to the swaying, hypnotic cadence of the leather. The isolation is absolute and profound. The entire world has shrunk down to the small, sacred circle of space between you and your mount. The heavy gray veil of the blizzard seems to part for just a single heartbeat, and through the swirling, chaotic white darkness, you see it, a single flickering spark of gold. It is an isolated, lonely cabin, tucked deep into a protective fold of the mountain where the timber grows thick, ancient, and dark. A single small window glows with the warm, buttery, and inviting light of an old oil lamp, a defiant and brave beacon in the very middle of the frozen wasteland. The sight of it brings an immediate grounding and heavy relief, a silent promise of sanctuary when the rest of the world feels as though it is coming undone in the wind. You guide the horse slowly toward the light, the rhythmic crunch of the snow underfoot growing slightly faster as the promise of warmth draws you near. The cabin stands like a silent and ancient sentinel, its heavy hand-hewn log walls draped in thick white snow, its stone chimney exhaling a thin, brave, and rhythmic line of gray smoke into the darkening heavy sky. You finally reach the porch, and as you step out of the howling wind, the transition is startling and deep. The biting, chaotic, and loud roar of the storm is suddenly muffled and distant, replaced by the heavy, pressurized silence of the sheltered wood. Here, under the eaves, the air is perfectly still, though the deep cold remains a dry, ancient, and dusty cold that smells of seasoned cedar and thyme. The sound of the sleet hitting the heavy roof becomes a distant, rhythmic, and comforting drumming, a lullaby of absolute safety that emphasizes the profound peace of the porch. You stand there for a moment in the darkness, the silence ringing in your ears, feeling the incredible and comforting weight of the solitude. The contrast is a physical and spiritual sensation. The violence and chaos of the mountain is just a few feet away. Yet here, in this small space, the world is motionless, quiet, and safe. You can hear your own heart slowing down to a resting pace, finding its natural rhythm in the deep stillness of the mountain wood. The heavy, weathered wooden door stands before you, its rough surface scarred by a century of bitter winters and summer suns. You reach out, your fingers numb and stiff but steady, and push it open with a slow and deliberate pressure. It moves with a long, slow, and rhythmic groan of ancient iron hinges that haven't felt the touch of oil in a lifetime. As you cross the threshold and step inside, the air changes instantly. It is thick, perfectly still, and carries the faint, sweet, and comforting scent of dried mountain herbs and old yellowed parchment. The interior of the house feels as though it has been frozen in a single moment of time, a quiet capsule of a life lived in total and perfect harmony with the silence of the high peaks. The small lamp in the window continues to flicker with a steady rhythm, casting long, lazy, and dancing shadows across furniture that hasn't moved an inch in decades. You are no longer a cold traveler fighting a storm. You are a guest in a quiet memory. Each slow step you take across the floorboards is a soft, hollow, and reassuring echo, leading you deeper and deeper into a house that breathes with the quiet, heavy weight of a peaceful path. The interior of the cabin is a sanctuary of long, dancing shadows and soft, amber light, but the dominant pulse of the room is the slow, rhythmic, and incredibly heavy ticking of a large wooden grandfather clock standing in the corner. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Each beat is a deep, resonant pulse that seems to pace the very movement of the universe within these four thick timber walls. It is a grounding, hypnotic sound that cuts through the immense silence of the high mountains, reminding you that time here does not rush, it simply breathes. You stand in the center of the room, the radiating heat from the small oil lamp beginning to thaw the deep, biting chill from your bones as the clock continues its steady, unhurried march. The rhythm is so consistent, so ancient, and so reliable that your own heartbeat begins to align with it. Slowing down, finding a calm and heavy cadence that feels like the gentle beginning of a long, deep slumber. You are no longer a traveler fighting the wind. You are a part of the stillness. You begin to move through the room with slow, respectful steps, your eyes drawn to the small, everyday artifacts of a life that was lived in total and beautiful seclusion. On a heavy oak desk, layered in a fine shimmering veil of silver dust, lies a small bundle of old yellowed letters tied together with a frayed piece of faded blue ribbon. You reach out, your movements fluid, soft, and deliberate, and touch the parchment with your fingertips. It feels brittle, dry, and fragile, carrying the faint, sweet, and comforting scent of dried lavender and old iron gall ink. As you scan the faded, elegant handwriting, you realize these are not just papers, but quiet echoes of a life left behind, messages of longing, of simple days spent in the valley, and of a quiet peace that was once cherished here above the clouds. Beside the letters lies a small, tarnished silver compass and a worn leather journal, its pages filled with soft charcoal sketches of the very peaks you crossed today. Discovering these fragments of the past creates a gentle, curious hum in your mind, a narrative thread that keeps you engaged without demanding any effort from your weary senses. It is a slow, beautiful mystery, a story of a human soul that found its home in the silence, just as you are finding yours tonight. The heavy silence of the cabin is suddenly, yet very softly, broken by a sound that feels entirely out of place in such an isolated wasteland. It is a knock at the door, not a frantic, loud, or aggressive pounding, but a soft, rhythmic, and familiar sequence of 3 slow taps. You move toward the heavy timber door, your hand finding the cold, solid iron latch, and as it swings open, a gust of cool, damp air follows a silhouette inside. It is Sadie. Her figure is framed by the swirling, rhythmic gray of the storm, her hat and furs dusted with a delicate layer of fresh white snow. She does not speak at first. She simply exhales a long, thick plume of white steam and nods, a quiet and profound arrival that signals the end of your solitude. Seeing a familiar face in the middle of the frozen wilderness provides an immense, grounding wave of relief that settles deep in your chest. You are no longer a lone traveler lost in the frost. You are part of a pair, a small community of 2, bound by a history of shared trails and unspoken, absolute trust. Her presence turns the isolated cabin from a place of mystery into a place of absolute shared safety. As Sadie moves toward the hearth to warm her gloved hands, the sound of the storm outside undergoes a beautiful, hushing transformation. The sharp, biting hiss of the sleet has turned into the steady, rhythmic, and melodic drumming of rain against the cabin's tin roof. It is a hollow, metallic, and incredibly soothing sound, a natural white noise that blankets the entire world in a layer of profound comfort. The rain creates a barrier of sound, turning the danger of the mountain into a cozy, distant, and harmless background. Within the cabin, the heavy ticking of the clock, the soft crackle of the oil lamp, and the rhythmic drumming on the roof all blend together into a single, seamless, and eternal lullaby. You find yourself sitting on a worn wooden bench, watching the rain streak down the small window pane, feeling a deep, physical surrender to the peace of the moment. The world outside is vast and chaotic, but here, under the rhythmic percussion of the falling rain, everything is focused, warm, and perfectly still. The rain begins to thin and soften as the first hints of a cold, clear break appear in the heavy clouds, and the atmosphere of the cabin starts to shift once more toward the journey ahead. The transition is soft, gradual, and painless, like the slow fading of a beautiful dream. You and Sadie begin to prepare for the ride back, moving with a quiet, synchronized efficiency that requires no spoken words. You gather your gear, the leather straps of your saddlebags creaking softly as you tighten your heavy coat, feeling the renewed strength that the short rest has provided to your limbs. The interior of the house, with its bundles of letters, its ticking clock, and its golden lamplight, remains behind as a sacred memory, a capsule of stillness that you will carry with you. The bridge between this sanctuary and the true camp is a path of soft moonlight and wet, glistening stone, leading you away from the mystery and back toward the familiar, roaring warmth of your own people. You step back out onto the porch, the air now smelling of wet earth and clean, fresh snow, ready to follow the rhythm of the trail once more, heading home under a sky that is finally beginning to clear of its burdens. Each step you take is a movement toward the light of the campfire, a movement toward the heart of the home you know so well. The long ride through the silver liquid moonlight finally leads you back to the edge of the ancient woods, where the familiar deep amber glow of the home camp begins to bleed through the dark, jagged silhouettes of the pine trees. As you draw closer, the very air undergoes a magnificent and heavy transformation, shedding the cold, metallic, and sharp scent of the high peaks and replacing it with the rich, thick, and intoxicating perfume of a massive roaring campfire. Can you hear it? That deep, rhythmic crackle, and the sudden, playful, and resonant pop of dry cedar logs as they surrender their secrets to the intense heat. It is a primal and profoundly comforting sound, a sonic signature of absolute safety that resonates deep within the hollow of your chest. The scent of roasting meat, aged wood, and thick cedar smoke hangs heavy and welcoming in the night air, a sensory promise that the long struggle of the frozen trail is finally over, and the warmth of the hearth has been reclaimed. This is the base, the solid foundation of your world, and the mere sight of the rising orange sparks dancing in a slow waltz toward the distant stars signals your weary mind that the journey is done. It is finally time to begin the long, slow process of shutting down. You lead the horses into the glowing center of the camp, where the intense light of the fire turns the entire world into a beautiful study of deep, molten gold and thick, velvet shadows. Around the dancing flames, the group has gathered in the darkness, their figures reclining on fallen logs and weathered crates in various postures of total, unbothered, and peaceful ease. There is a low, constant and comforting murmur of friendly voices drifting through the night air, a soft, indistinct, and blurry hum of conversation that you can't quite make out, and more importantly, you don't feel the need to. It is the communal white noise of belonging, a gentle, low-frequency vibration of human connection that acts as a soft buffer against the vast, silent, and cold indifference of the wilderness outside. You feel the heavy, accumulated tension in your shoulders dissolve and melt away as you merge back into this collective peace. The distant clink of a tin cup, the soft rustle of a heavy wool blanket, and the low, resonant laughter of an old friend all blend together into a singular, hushing melody of sanctuary. You are no longer a ghost fighting for survival in the storm. You are a man among his people, anchored by the radiant heat of the fire and the steady, quiet presence of those who know your name and hold your trust. In the very center of this golden circle, you pause and finally reveal the magnificent prize of your long, arduous journey, the White Arabian. As she steps forward into the flickering light, her silver coat catching and reflecting the orange brilliance of the flames, a profound and respectful silence falls over the entire camp. She looks like a creature carved from moonlight, ice, and ancient dreams, a living testament to a promise kept and a debt paid to the very soul of the homestead. You see the look in Mary's eyes as she approaches from the shadows, her hand trembling slightly with emotion, as she reaches out to touch the silken mane of the horse she once only saw in the fleeting visions of her sleep. In this single quiet moment, the exhaustion of the climb and the biting danger of the storm are completely and utterly redeem. The legendary horse is no longer a myth or a ghost of the high, frozen peaks. She is a warm, breathing reality, a graceful presence that brings a new sense of hope and beauty to the camp. This is the ultimate resolution of the day, the closing of a long circle that began with a morning wish and ended with a midnight triumph. You have brought the spirit of the mountain home to the fire, and in doing so you have earned the absolute right to a total, undisturbed, and heavy rest. As the quiet excitement of your return begins to settle like falling ash, a new and deeper sound rises from the shadows, to take its place the steady, grounding, and incredibly slow strumming of an old acoustic guitar. Someone sitting back in the darkness is plucking the heavy strings with a slow, unhurried hand, producing a series of deep, resonant chords that hang in the still air like a warm, invisible mist. The music is not a song with a beginning or an end, but a rhythmic meditation, a slow-motion vibration of wood and wire that pulls gently at the very edges of your tired consciousness. Each note is a gentle, downward tug toward the soft earth, a lullaby that tells your weary muscles to let go, your heavy eyes to grow dim, and your wandering mind to finally drift. The rhythm of the guitar is perfectly synchronized with the slow pulsing of the fire and the deep, steady cadence of your own breathing. You find yourself swaying almost imperceptibly to the music, the world around you becoming a soft, unfocused blur of amber light and dark, protective trees. The guitar is a tether to the dream world, a bridge between the waking life of the trail and the deep, restorative, and infinite dark that waits just beyond the reach of the firelight. The intense, radiating heat of the massive fire is a heavy weight against your skin now, a comforting, numbing pressure that irons out the last remnants of the day's fatigue. You take one last, lingering look at the familiar faces of your friends, their features softened and made kind by the flickering orange light, before you finally turn your back to the golden center of the camp. The transition is soft, quiet, and entirely painless as you begin walking away from the roaring heat and into the cool, velvet, and embracing darkness of the sleeping quarters. With every slow step you take, the brilliant light of the campfire grows dimmer and more distant, fading from a sharp gold to a soft orange glow that outlines the canvas of the tents like a fading memory. The air here is much cooler, smelling of dry canvas, clean earth, and the profound silent night. The sounds of the camp, the murmuring voices, and the rhythmic, slow-motion guitar become a distant, muffled backdrop, a cozy and harmless background noise that proves you are safe even as you surrender to the shadows. You are heading toward the comfort of your own bedroll, moving deeper and deeper into the soft velvet dark where the only thing waiting for you is the infinite, peaceful, and heavy silence of the night. Each breath is a step closer to the dream, a step further from the world of light. As the camp fades into a quiet hum of safety, the entire world has narrowed down now to the very edge of the fading firelight, where the tall, cooling grass meets the dark and steady earth. You find yourself sitting by the glowing, rhythmic embers with an old and trusted friend, the kind of quiet companion who understands the heavy weight of your silence just as well as the weary sound of your voice. The night air is perfectly still, save for the rhythmic, metallic rasp of a silver flask being slowly unscrewed, a small, sharp, and grounding sound that cuts through the immense quiet like the strike of a tiny silver bell. He offers it to you with a slow, steady hand, and the rich scent of aged rye and charred oak travels through the cool air, a sharp and pleasant contrast to the soft, sweet smell of the fading cedar smoke. You take a long, slow sip, feeling the deep and spreading warmth travel down your throat like a liquid fire that anchors you firmly to the ground beneath you. There is no need for any grand gestures or loud declarations here in the dark. The high, jagged peaks are far behind you now, The white storm is nothing more than a fading memory, and the legendary horse is safely tethered and dreaming in the nearby shadows. This is the hour of the long, soft shadow, the time when the weary soul finally begins to unburden itself of the day's heavy and dusty cargo. Together, in the deepening quiet, you begin to recount old tales of the frontier, speaking of the Wild West not as a place of violence, dust, or danger, but as if it were a collection of beautiful, half-remembered dreams from an entirely different life. You speak of the long golden summers in the heart of Lemoyne, where the heavy air was thick with the intoxicating scent of blooming magnolias and the constant, hypnotic hum of 1,000 cicadas. You remember together the way the afternoon light used to hit the red, iron dust of roads at high noon, turning the entire world into a shimmering, terracotta mirage that seemed to vibrate with heat. These stories are told in low, rhythmic and breathy tones, the words falling one by one, like soft rain into the glowing red coals of the dying fire. There is no bitterness or regret in the remembering, only a quiet, nostalgic, and profound peace. You talk about the people you once knew, the outlaws who were really just lonely and tired men, and the lawmen who were simply weary of the long chase. In the deep, absolute stillness of the night, these memories lose their sharp, jagged edges, becoming as soft, blurry, and comforting as the ancient stars shining overhead. Each story you tell is another layer of weight being lifted from your tired heart, a gentle, emotional decompression that allows your spirit to expand into the vast, quiet, and safe space of the night. As the pace of the conversation slows to a crawl, your friend looks deep into the fading, pulsing heart of the fire and speaks a single truth that resonates with the very marrow of your tired bones. He admits in a voice that is barely more than a soft whisper against the wind, that after all the thousands of miles traveled, and all the impossible mountains climbed, the greatest adventure was never the pursuit of gold, the hunger for glory, or the thrill of the chase. The greatest adventure was simply finding a quiet place to rest. A place where the winter wind does not bite, where the ground beneath you is steady and firm, and where the heart is finally allowed to stop its frantic rhythmic beating. It is a profound and heavy realization, a soft revelation that turns the very idea of a hero on its head. To rest is the ultimate victory. To find a state of perfect stillness is the highest conquest a man can achieve. You nod slowly in the total darkness, feeling the absolute, undeniable truth of his words settle over your shoulders like a heavy, warm, and hand-woven blanket. The long search is finally over. The winding trail has led you exactly where you needed to be. Not to a new land or a new life, but to a state of being where nothing is required of you but your own quiet, peaceful existence. The fire is sinking lower and lower now, the bright orange flames having long ago surrendered to a deep, pulsing, and hypnotic crimson glow. Your sentences begin to grow shorter and more fragmented. The gaps of silence between the words become longer, deeper, and more comfortable. Your voice is becoming breathier and more distant, sinking lower into the chest, matching the slow, dying rhythm of the hot coals. Rest now. The world is quiet. The horses are dreaming in the dark. The mountains are asleep under the snow. You are safe. You are home. You are exactly where you belong. Each word you speak is a soft, warm exhale, a slow and intentional release of the day's remaining energy. The air is cool and refreshing on your face, but your body feels heavy, solid, and warm, anchored by the comforting gravity of total and absolute peace. There is nothing left to say, and no more stories to tell. The silence is no longer an empty space to be filled, but a full, heavy, and comforting presence that wraps around you like a cocoon, shielding you from the noise and the ghosts of the past. The fire fades further still, retreating into a dull, hypnotic, and deep red glow that barely illuminates the ground at your feet. as the sound of human voices finally drifts away into the velvet dark. The rhythmic sounds of the night begin to take over the entire soundtrack of your mind. The steady, repetitive, and ancient chirping of the night insects rises in a slow, constant crescendo, creating a natural and powerful white noise that vibrates softly through the cool air. It is an ancient, primal, and perfect symphony, a constant hum that tells your brain the entire world is in perfect balance. The crackle of the burning wood is gone now, replaced by the soft rhythmic sigh of the wind through the pines and the steady, distant pulse of the crickets in the grass. The bridge to a deep sleep is wide open now. The light is gone. The warmth is internal, and the darkness is a kind, welcoming, and familiar friend. You are drifting now, the deep red glow of the embers flickering softly behind your closed eyelids. As you step away from the fire and into the infinite, star-filled and perfect silence of the deep night. Every breath you take is a surrender to the dark. Every heartbeat is a step closer to the dream. You are drifting away into the stillness that never ends. The entire world has finally reached its most perfect and absolute state of stillness. Can you hear the heavy, rhythmic breathing of the camp at rest? It is a low, collective tide of sound, the deep, slow, and effortless inhales and the long, silent exhales of men and animals who have finally found their sanctuary. This is the heartbeat of the home, a steady and ancient cadence that vibrates softly through the very ground beneath your head. There is no more talk of the trail today, no more rhythmic clinking of tin cups, and no more sharp crackle of the wood fire. The fire has retreated into a soft, glowing memory of heat, leaving behind a silence so thick, so warm, and so velvety that it feels like a physical, protective weight against your skin. You are lying in the darkness now, listening to the incredibly soft, rhythmic sighs of the horses nearby and the distant, muffled pulse of the mountain wilderness. Everything that needed to be done has been completed with care. Every difficult mile has been accounted for. Every promise made in the dawn has been kept in the dark. The camp is a cradle of absolute safety, and you are held within its very center, anchored by the slow and steady breathing of a world that has finally stopped its turning. Your body feels incredibly, wonderfully heavy now, a comfortable and profound sense of gravity pulling every tired muscle and every weary bone deep into the soft, welcoming earth. Your limbs feel like heavy lead, numbed by a deep and satisfying exhaustion that feels more like a sacred reward than a physical burden. You can feel the intense radiating warmth of your heavy wool bedroll wrapped tightly and securely around you. A cocoon of dry, thick heat that shields you perfectly from the cool mountain air. The texture of the canvas and the incredible softness of the inner lining are the only things you can feel now, a sensory anchor that tells your brain it is finally safe to let go of the day. Your feet are warm, your heavy shoulders have finally dropped, and the iron tension that you carried through the high, jagged peaks has evaporated completely like mist in the morning sun. You are sinking, slowly and steadily, into the soft layers of the night. The bedroll is your fortress, a private and silent world where the cold cannot reach you and the noise of the past cannot find you. Every slow breath you take is a surrender to this weight, a conscious and peaceful decision to sink deeper and deeper into the comfort of the dark. As you lie there in the stillness, watching the faint, rhythmic pulse of the starlight through the open tent flap, a soft and profound realization washes over you like a gentle, warm wave. The trail has finally ended, the long, winding and difficult path that led through the deep mud of the lowlands and the biting ice of the high Grizzlies has finally reached its true destination. There are no more mountains left to climb tonight. There are no more storms for you to weather and no more ghosts for you to chase through the mist. The map has been folded and put away in the dark, and the wide horizon has been traded for the quiet, peaceful interior of your own mind. There is nowhere left for you to go, There is absolutely nothing left for you to do. The world outside will continue to spin in its orbit. The wind will continue to blow softly through the high pines. And the distant stars will continue their slow, ancient waltz across the black sky. But you are no longer required to participate in any of it. You have reached the very edge of the map, the sacred place where the journey transforms from movement into perfect rest. There is nowhere left for you to go but sleep. It is the only frontier remaining now, a vast, silent, and peaceful territory that is yours and yours alone to explore. Now, at the end of all things, it is time to simply drift. Imagine yourself as a single golden leaf falling onto the surface of a deep, perfectly still mountain lake, slowly beginning to float on the dark, glassy water. You are weightless now, drifting further away from the shore, drifting away from the camp, and drifting into the infinite quiet expanse of the night. Feel yourself begin to float, suspended in a space where there is no up and no down, only the gentle, rhythmic swaying of the dream world beginning to take hold. You are beginning to sink into the velvet shadows of the tent, sinking through the layers of the evening, and sinking into a deep, restorative sea of absolute silence. Every remaining thought is a soft white cloud, drifting past your vision and vanishing into the deep indigo sky. Float, drift, sink. The words are a soft, repetitive, and hushing lullaby that hums in the back of your mind. Surrender to the immense heaviness of your eyelids. Surrender to the steady rhythm of the breathing camp. Surrender to the peace that you have earned with every single step of the journey. You are drifting further and further from the waking world, floating on a tide of absolute, perfect, and eternal calm. The sound of the narrator's voice is beginning to change now, becoming thinner, softer, and more distant, like a flickering candle seen from a very long way off. It is fading into the shadows, blending into the natural white noise of the high country. The words are no longer distinct or sharp, but have become a soft, rhythmic vibration that carries no demand for your attention or your understanding. As the voice recedes into the distance, the sound of the soft wind begins to take its place, a low, melodic, and constant sigh that weaves through the canvas of the tent and the silver needles of the pines. It is a hushing sound, a cosmic and ancient whisper that tells you the night is long and the world is perfectly secure. You are floating in the very center of that sound, a small, safe, and warm spark in the vast and friendly dark. The camp, the fire, the horse, and the long trail are all dissolving into a soft gray and beautiful haze. There is only the wind, the rhythmic breathing of the earth, and the deep, heavy darkness. Sink, drift, sleep. The world is gone, and you are finally, perfectly, and eternally at rest. The wind carries you now, a gentle, invisible hand guiding you into the dream, as the silence becomes absolute and the night becomes your home. Sleep now, sleep, sleep. The final light of the campfire has now completely dissolved into a soft, pulsing and distant memory of warmth, and the vast velvet canopy of the infinite stars has become your only roof and your only guardian. You are no longer a traveler fighting the wind, no longer a rider crossing the frozen plains, and no longer a seeker of ghosts. You are simply and purely a part of the deep, rhythmic, and ancient breathing of the mountain night. Before the last of the waking world fades away entirely into the blue haze of a deep and dreamless sleep, listen closely to this final, whispered blessing for the long night ahead. May your rest be as deep as the hidden mountain roots, and as quiet as the soft, falling snow in the high pines. May the dreams that find you in the dark be as vast as the western plains, and as kind as the first touch of the morning sun. There is no more weight for you to carry. The heavy pack has been unloaded, the leather saddle has been hung in the quiet barn, and the long, winding trail has been walked to its very end. You are safe. You are held in the arms of the earth. And you are exactly where you are meant to be in this moment of absolute peace. As you drift further on the edge of this infinite and peaceful ocean of shadows, remember that this world, this sanctuary of pine, frost, and golden fire is always here, waiting patiently and silently for your inevitable return. It does not vanish or break when you open your eyes. It simply rests in the quiet, undisturbed corners of your mind, a steady and unchanging landscape that offers its profound peace whenever the world of men becomes too loud or too heavy. The mountains do not move, the rivers do not cease their rhythmic and grounding flow, and the fire in the hearth of the homestead is always being tended by a friendly hand, just for you. You can return to the snowy path whenever you need to find the stillness again. The White Arabian will always be waiting in the mist, the coffee will always be steaming on the iron stove, and the long golden trail will always be there to guide you back home. This is not a final ending, but a gentle and revolving circle, a loop of eternal peace that connects the end of your day to the beginning of your deepest rest. And now, listen closely to the thin air as it begins to change and soften around you. Through the hushing, rhythmic sigh of the mountain wind, there's a soft, familiar, and grounding sound, the distant, rhythmic creak of a heavy wooden door. It is the very same door to the tavern from the beginning of your journey, the heavy threshold where you first stepped out of the freezing rain and into the warmth of the story. Can you hear it closing now? It is a soft, final, and satisfying thud of solid oak against the heavy frame, a sound of absolute closure and total, impenetrable security. The iron latch clicks into place with a gentle metallic finality, sealing out all the noise, all the cold, and all the chaos of the outside world. The door is shut, the room is warm, the journey is complete. You are tucked away safely in the very heart of the sanctuary, where nothing can reach you but the soft, rhythmic, and healing pulse of the deep night. Sweet dreams, stay warm, stay safe. The words are no longer a voice, but a breathy, fading vibration that melts into the velvet darkness. Sweet dreams, stay warm, stay safe. They repeat in your mind like a slow, steady heartbeat, growing fainter, softer, and slower with every single passing moment. The world of language and thought is falling away now, replaced by the pure, unadorned, and ancient language of the wilderness. Stay warm, stay safe. The narration is dissolving now, sinking beneath the calm surface of a deep, crystalline lake of sound. There is no more need for guidance. There is no more need for any more words. You are floating now in the pure, rhythmic, and natural sanctuary of the night, the distant hollow and protective moan of the wind that sounds like a song of ancient safety. The rhythmic, steady sigh of the breeze through the high of the breeze through the hot silver needles of the pines, and the soft, repetitive, and tiny crunch of the cooling embers as they settle into the gray ash. The voice has gone away now, leaving behind an absolute, sacred, and perfect silence. The only thing that remains in the world is the tiny, rhythmic, and hypnotic crackle of a dying flame, a sound so small, so delicate, and so pure that it seems to emphasize the immense, peaceful, and protective void of the high mountains. It is a slow, rhythmic percussion, the very last ember of the story flickering one final time before it, too, surrenders its light to the kind and welcoming dark. You are asleep now, drifting in the infinite and beautiful loop of the night, where the trail ends and the peace begins, over and over again, until the light of the dawn eventually finds you. The fire is low, the wind is a whisper, the world is at rest. You are home. Each breath is a circle, each heartbeat is a promise of peace. The darkness is your friend, the silence is your song. Drift now into the deep, drifting into the stillness, drift into the dream that never ends. Sleep, sleep, sleep.